All right.
Is everyone in here? Okay, so how this is going to work is we're going to start with the absolute basics, right? And we'll start with the basic stuff. Just how sound works, how things hook up, and basic things you need to know in order to get sound to come out of here. If that's all you need, like you're a volunteer, and you just want to be able to turn something on if need be, and you don't want to call somebody. We'll start with that. Then at any point when you feel like you know what you need to know, be done, right? Because if you stay for the whole thing, you're going to get information overload. You're not going to remember anything. You just wasted your time. You might remember a couple things, right? So we're just going to start basic, and then we're just going to get more advanced as we go. And if you feel at any point like, okay, I've learned what I needed to learn, I've got my goal set. If you learned what you wanted to learn, stop, write it down somewhere and leave, right? Don't stay, get all the advanced information, which is just going to confuse everything that you learned in the basics, right? So if you want to leave at any time, please do.
And you can always check the video later.
Yep, and you can watch the video later, but don't, because it's going to turn into information overload real quick if you try to, if you stay till the very end when we go into advanced stuff and you don't know anything. So, okay, let's talk about sound, right? So,
Try it. Go ahead, keep going.
we've got input and output devices, right? So a microphone would be an input device, and the speaker would be an output device. Basically what you're doing is sound waves, when it goes into the microphone, vibrates a little diaphragm in the microphone, which sends an electrical signal through the line, and then it gets all mumble jumbled in here, sent to the speaker, and the speaker takes that electrical signal and turns it back into a analog sound wave by vibrating a diaphragm in there, right? And so that's basically how sound reproduction works. It's a wave coming in, gets messed with, and then gets amplified, and it's a wave coming out of the speaker, right?
That's the beginner stuff.
That. No, I just want so you get an idea of what's happening, okay. Right? Okay. So there's a kid, right? And he's got a hose. And
thank you. I like this.
Right. There's a hose, and there's a faucet, and there are 6 children holding parts of this hose all the way down the line, and then the water comes out the other end, right? So this is how sound works with a mixer board. It's just the simplest way I can put it. So basically, let's say sound coming into the microphone, a person singing, is the faucet, right? So someone starts singing, that's basically turning the faucet on. Water starts coming through the line, right? Now, all of the kids at the 6 points on the hose have it kinked, so no water can come out, right? So the first kid on the line, which is this knob up here, this is kid number 1, he's like, well, it was turned all the way to 0, and he's like, okay, I want to hear this, so I'm going to let it through, right? So kid 1 unkinks his hose, sound can go through it, right? But it hits kink 2, and sound stops, right? So it's not enough that kid 1 removed the kink, kid 2 has to do it as well, right? So kid 2 sees that kid 1 released the sound, he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I want that sound as well, right? So he turns his meter up, that's great. Kid 2's unkinked it, water's gone through his 2, but there's still a couple more that's blocking it, sound coming out the speaker, right? So kid 3 is master fader over here, right? That comes up, kid 3 unkinks, sounds great, right? And then the sound travels out of the board to the speaker. Now kid 4 is at the speaker, and that's the actual speaker being turned on, right? And then kid 5 is the volume being turned up on the speaker itself, right? So there are 5, 6, 7 kids in this line that all have a kink on the hose, right? And if all of them don't unkink it, there will be no sound that will come out of that channel, right? Now, let's say kid 1 right here, which is this knob up here. This is the gain knob up here. Let's say kid 1, you're trying to get, let's say this is a vocal track and you want it to be louder. It's really quiet, right? And so how do you do that? There's 3 different places you can turn up the sound on the board, right? So which one is the right one to turn up?
You stop it and then play it again when you want to.
Do it.
We'll wait for a second.
Okay, we're just going to put it in breaks.